Well, next up, another N scale presentation, and this is from Bill Stimson, and it happens to be a Conowingo model in N scale, the Gray Street house, correct?
That's correct.
It's all yours, Bill.
Chris Corse's first N-scale model that he's produced. So I happened to meet Chris flew down to Phoenix for a convention, and I happened to meet him, and I talked him into giving me an early version of his N-scale build kit. So I thought, here's an opportunity for everybody to see how good Chris's kits are and to promote some N-scale small manufacturers. So this is what you get with the kit. There's a laser cut piece of 1/32, I think it's basswood, some tissue windows and doors, a chimney, a 3D printed base, some stuff for curtains, uh, roof cardboard, and some tar paper stuff. So the first step in building this kit is to brace the walls. I decided to do it while they were still attached in the complete piece because Chris talked in his instructions talked about using dry brushing to put a stain on the front. I decided I was going to use the old Hunterline driftwood stain as the undercoat. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty of support because 1/32 inch stuff, when subjected to liquid, tends to warp. So this is the bracing that Chris suggested. I added some more, as you can see, especially on the roof pieces. I wanted to have a little bit of support for that cardboard as I attached it to these walls for the roof. Um, Then I stained it with the Hunterline stain on that side and painted the back flat black because I don't intend to put an interior into this. And I don't want any light sneaking through if I decide to put an LED underneath it, which is very possible when I put it on the layout. And next I painted the walls whitewash and the windows and trim with avocado, which is a nice green. And you can see that by having the stain underneath, the white isn't stark white. It has a little bit looks a little bit like it's been weathered, not a lot. It looks like a fairly new house, but it's been exposed to the weather a little. And now you can see a little better. The corner posts are now glued on, the little green there. And using some 1, 2, 3 blocks, I assembled the building and made sure it was square. You can see the 3D base there. So if anybody's curious, I just measured this building because I didn't think about it before, but this building is about a 2 inch cube. It's a little bit taller and a little bit narrower than 2 inches, but the width is from front to back is pretty close to 2 inches. So it's a very small building if you can see, but that's it. And if you look in the picture of me, that's how big this thing is. It's as Doc said, you got to have some pretty good eyes and some pretty steady hands when building these things. I found these window shades, and I don't remember who the manufacturer was, but I've still got a few sheets of it. So this is what I glued on the back of the windows instead of the looks like manila folder material that Chris included in the kit to make blinds. And there you can see them with the windows and doors. And I want to say, Chris's laser cutting, those window and door openings were dead on. I did not have to file a thing, which is unusual for a wood kit. I usually have to file the window openings a little bit or the windows themselves a little bit to get them to fit. And I use Titebond to do all the wood to wood um, gluing, and then The next thing I did was I used a makeup sponge and dabbed some various colors of gray on his black tar paper, and that helped to make it a little less look a little like it's weathered. I also you can sort of see the 3D printed stonework on his base. Those are various colors of gray and brown, just dabbed on with a really small brush to highlight various ones of the stones. There's the tar paper now glued onto the cardboard. And when I do cardboard and paper to one another, I used Elmer's glue. And I painted that same white on the underside of the roof so that when I glue it on, I don't now have to go paint that underneath. And then now the roof is glued in place. And then the building is now glued to the base. And he left this portion here to glue first the front of the porch, which is this piece here, if you can see my cursor, and the two sides, and then some strip wood cut to form the porch. And there's the porch formed of individually cut strip wood. And the stairs that were added here on the side. The porch roof is added on, and some 1/32 by 1/32 strip wood for the porch roof and the railings. And there's the chimney is now attached. Everything is pretty much done. And here you are. This is Chris's kit, and it looks wonderful. It was a real fun build, real quick build, but a fun build. No filing needed for the windows and doors, which helps a whole bunch. I managed not to quite get this thing centered on the base, and that makes the porch roof look a little long, but it's fine. I can see me buying 2 or 3 more of these and building a street scene with these kits. So, um, questions, comments?
You did a really nice job on that. That's a very attractive kit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he makes it in several scales. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah, it's an N, HO, and O scale now. In fact, I gave away a couple of them at the narrow gauge meet in Harrisburg last year. But in any scale, it all comes out. It's a nice, pretty versatile building that you can put just about anywhere.
Yeah,
You
I
did a
can
real
see a whole street of these without any
yeah.
difficulty.
You like company houses, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Bill, I was very impressed with the stonework. I can't imagine doing that. I have a hard time doing that no scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Really
say
good.
because when I did it, I just slapped a coat of paint on it and then just threw some weathering on it. It was like good enough.
Yeah. Well, the simple way is take like 3 or 4 different grays and a real small brush, and I have a
Dabble on
I
there.
have a light here that has also a magnifier on it, and I just stick that under there and dab it on it. I mean, with stonework, if you miss a little bit, it still looks like stonework.
No, it looked great. That looks really nice. And everybody has to keep in mind that's N scale. We're so
Yeah.
used to seeing O scale on the show. We're 2 inches
Like
by
I said, 2 inches tall by 2 inches wide by 2 inches deep.
so when you're
It's not
looking
very
at it,
big.
when you're looking at it in real life and not under a microscope of a large monitor, I mean, see what I'm talking about? I mean, there's a lot of detail on there. So terrific job, and thank you for presenting this evening.
Thanks, Tom.